Welcome to Decades of Horror, the 1970s.
You know, my son, I wouldn't be Emperor of the Galaxy if I didn't have some powers at my disposal. Imperial Battleship, halt the flow of time!
This is episode 169, recorded August 3rd, 2022.
Gruesome Magazine.
I'm your host, Doc Rotten, and this podcast is about horror movies released between 1970 and 1979.
I want my $10,000 now.
Yes, and occasionally a sci-fi film. Each episode, my co-host Jeff Mohr and I will tackle another classic, or not so classic, film from this wondrous, groovy, gory, and influential decade. With me this week, of course, is my co-host Jeff Mohr. Jeff, sir, how are you doing?
I'm feeling rather regal.
Regal, are you?
No, not really.
Why aren't you wearing your bikini? All right. Anyway, also joining us tonight, where'd that come from, is Bill Mulligan, writer, director, special effects guru, and Catman. No, all around a nice guy. How you doing, sir?
I'm feeling guilty. I picked this mess.
You picked this mess. Yes, what you picked, sir, was a little film called Starcrash from 1978. Of course, this is not a horror film in that respect. It is a genre film, of course. It is very much a Star Wars, a Star Wars film, a film influenced by the impact of Star Wars. That's what I was trying to say. And it's worth talking about. It has stop motion. It has creatures, small and large. So there's definitely stuff to talk about. But yeah, explain, sir, before we get into this. I've really got to know, why was this your pick?
Carolyn Monroe in a lot of skimpy outfits.
No, well, that is a good reason to pick it.
That's it. That's all that I rememred, and I forgot all the rest.
Oh, I was thinking stop motion animation.
I know, I was too, to be honest with you.
Yeah, this stop motion animation is the answer to the question: why do they pay Ray Harryhausen so much money?
That's
turns out it's an easy concept to imagine, but it's really hard to pull off. And this is what you get. Yeah.
That is so funny. All right, you know what? Let me get into the card, and then we're going to jump into when we first saw this film, which is going to be funny. But let's go ahead and look at it. I love that picture. Starcrash, 1978, directed by Luigi Cozzi as Lewis Coates. Okay. Sure. Written by Luigi Cozzi and Nat Wachsberger. I'm probably mispronouncing his name, and R.A. Dillon did the additional dialogue. The cast includes, but not limited to, Caroline Munro, Marjoe Gortner, David Hasselhoff, Christopher Plummer, and Joe Spinell. Of course, we should cover this for Joe Spinell alone.
Sure.
The release date is December 21st, 1978 in, what is that, West Germany? Is that what that is?
Yes.
The January 3rd, 1979 in Italy, and March 9th, 1979 in the U.S. It's also known as The Adventures of Stella Star, working title, and an Italian name, which is Starfights Beyond the Third Dimension, which is I kind of like that. Synopsis is: an outlaw smuggler and her alien companion are recruited by the Emperor of the Galaxy to rescue his son and destroy a mysterious superweapon designed by the evil Count Zarth Arn. Zarth Arn, played by Joe Spinell, spotlighted in our picture. And that picture of all pictures, that is so wonderful.
Chewing up the scenery there.
That is almost worth the price of admission alone. I saw for free, so hey. All right, let's go around. And when did we first see this film? What was our first impression? And Bill Mulligan, you sir are up first.
I don't remember when I first saw this film. I have a feeling it was probably on videotape. I did not see it in the theater. So yeah, but I'd read about it. I'd heard about it in Fangoria and Starburst, and when Star Wars came out and took over the world, there were so many ripoffs that came along, and this was one of the first. If you believe their story, they made this without having seen Star Wars, so they had a head start on all the others that had to actually watch Star Wars before they even thought of ripping it off. I'm very dubious about that whole story. The Italian film industry is one of those places where it's been quoted. They never asked you, what's your movie about? They said, what's your movie like? So when the Road Warrior hit, they had a whole bunch of Road Warrior ripoffs. When Star Wars hit, they had a whole bunch of Star Wars ripoffs. Dawn of the Dead, Zombie. I mean, all these things. So it would be surprising to me that they spent $4 million, a fortune for an Italian movie, on a movie that had not yet come out and become the monster hit that it was. But nevertheless, you know, this has got a hell of a cast. Now, I will say I remember liking it a lot more than I did this time. Maybe it was because I had my wife in the room, and, you know, when you're watching a goofball, stupid movie with someone else and they're like, why is this so bad? You're just like, oh. Like, who picked this? I'm like, oh. I should have just thrown one of you guys under the bus like I usually do, but that's usually the case. No, I picked this one. And it's colorful. It's very like old comic booky style. It's just terrible. It's the parts that are bad, like the acting, for the most part, because every actor seems to be acting in a different movie.
that's absolutely true.
You know, Christopher Plummer is fine, but he apparently is told, you know, he was handed, oh, here's a Shakespeare play that no one ever had before, and he's acting his heart out. David Hasselhoff does what he can. Marjoe Gortner thinks he's in a comedy, I think. And I don't know, Carolyn. I like Carolyn Monroe. It's hard to really judge her acting because she was dubbed by Candy Clark. So, but everyone is just, it's so weird. It's just such an oddball move. My wife just walked by and rolled her eyes. I can feel it from here.
The power of the eye roll.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think you have to be in a certain frame of mind or under the influence of, you know, certain mood enhancing substances to really appreciate this film fully. Sometimes you can't go back again, I guess. I just remember liking it a whole lot more. I will say this.
Go back.
Yeah. Carolyn Monroe still looks pretty fetching in her constantly changing outfits, which sometimes change in the middle of a scene for no reason whatsoever.
Yeah, from one cut to the next. She's
a beautiful, beautiful woman. I've always liked her. But I would not rate this as one of the better Carolyn Monroe movies.
maybe
sorry
not.
Guys,
maybe not. Jeff, sir, when did you first see Starcrash, and what was your first impression?
The first time I saw it was in the last week. However, ever since we did Maniac on 80s, I've been kind of wanting to see it because I knew that Joe Spinell and Carolyn Monroe both were in it. I thought, oh, that should be interesting. But I was wrong, and she's gorgeous. I mean,
yeah, stunning.
But it makes no sense, really. They just, I don't know. I don't know what to say, really.
Things happen.
The spaceships are weird. They have, I mean, literally, there's opening shots that are directly stolen from Star Wars. Like the opening shot of the spaceship coming over, you know, like a battle cruiser. It's a big long shot as it goes away, and then when they show the overhead, it looks like a little stubby spacecraft. It's not near as big as it looked like. So anyway, I don't know. We have, and the dialogue is not good. So anyway,
absolutely
there
right.
There are places to laugh, but there's not any place to get really excited and root for anybody, I don't think. I found the fight scenes to be extremely long and drawn out, both the space battles and you know, the fights between the different factions there in the ship. Anyway, yeah, light. It's not a lightsaber; it's a light sword, I think, or something. I don't know what it is.
Totally
sword, yeah. There's some influences. If it wasn't on day one, by the time they got to filming the scenes, it definitely had some influences. Really. I thought, Bill Mulligan, that I had seen this film. I could have sworn I saw it. But I think I'm mixing it up with some other.
I think a lot of people mix this up with Battle Beyond the Stars.
No, well, there's another one I think I mix it up with. But yeah, it could be that one. But well, there's a story about that in our notes about Battle Beyond the Stars. This actually made Battle Beyond the Stars happen, so that's interesting. But I found out quickly as I was watching this that no. I had never seen this movie. Now I remember it. Remember the name and the shots fondly from, like you said, all the magazines back in 1979 and probably into 1980. And you know they look great in stills, especially for young eyeballs. And then, but man, this movie is so bad. It's awful. And I have to ask. I guess. It has a cult following, maybe? I don't know.
Rolling Stone listed this as one of the top 50 science fiction films of the 1970s. I don't know what they're smoking over at Rolling Stone, but
well, I hope it's at least at number 50. But
top 50 in the 70s science fiction.
Yeah,
it might.
I don't know. I'm not buying it, but it's the dubbing is laughably bad. Joe Spinell with his accent, that to get rid of that New York accent, it would have been so much better with the New York accent. It wouldn't have made any sense, but it would have been so much better. Hasselhoff, I don't know, kind of surprised me. He comes out and it's like
terrible.
It is him. Look how young he looks.
Oh yeah, he looks like he's 12. It's amazing.
I know. And then, like you said, Christopher Plummer shows up and he's like, he's just doing he's just doing it. He's absolutely bringing it. If he's phoning it in, he's got the best phone in the country. It is really.
But that makes it even worse. You imagine you're on a movie, you're on a crap movie, you're just like, yeah, whatever, pay me. And then all of a sudden this actor shows up who's probably learned all of his lines on the plane ride over and is just nailing it and making it sound convincing, and now you feel like the world's biggest schmuck.
And I mean, he actually could be acting really bad, but compared to everybody else, it really is like Shakespeare. But I don't know. There is a weird charm to this movie on the "oh my god, this movie's bad" scale, right?
Yeah.
I mean, characters die and come back and
have powers that are completely unexplained. They just pull them out of their rear end whenever they need them.
Yeah, and weapons as well. And then we end up with a giant hand ship. I don't know. I couldn't take. I really felt like I was like I'm losing time that I could do something else with, but at the same time I couldn't stop looking at it. It was like, what is this? It's like, what is going on? I've got to see what's happening. And it was it's a disaster. It's a nightmare. But
I actually after I watched the movie, I was reading up on it, and I saw the thing about the light sword or their version of the lightsaber, and I'm like, I must have dozed off because I did not see it.
You didn't see it? You must have.
There. So I watched it again. Anyway.
Yeah.
Oh, you watched it twice. Oh,
I did, and that's where I realized how long and drawn out the fight scenes were.
Well, I like that Christopher Plummer took it just because they were going to send him to Rome. They filmed in Rome, and he was like, "I'll go to Rome." I think he was quoted even saying he would do porno if they took him to Rome.
Yeah.
He was.
That's how you get.
He's a perfect example of the guys. They used to say, I think they used to say Richard Burton could make reading the phone book sound interesting.
Mm-hmm.
he reads the most ridiculous lines, and it sounds like Shakespeare coming
It
out.
makes it's like
awesome.
totally
It's
plausible.
amazing. You just all of a sudden, it sounds so good, you just kind of ignore what he's actually
That
saying.
whole final monologue where it's just basically him talking to us for a couple minutes there, it sounds great coming from his voice. And then you say, well, let's imagine if they'd given this to Marjoe Gortner, how would it have sounded then? It would have sounded stupid.
Yes, it would. Let's take a look at some of the goodies that Bill has prepared for us.
Well, this is one of those movies. Some movies that we have, it's like hard to find any graphics for, but luckily this one, it is colorful. There's a lot of pretty stuff in it that, as you said, Doc, looks pretty good when it's not moving.
When it's not moving. This looks like it's from just artwork or a record or something.
Indonesia or something. I think this was the poster. It's actually a pretty good poster.
Stingray.
Yeah,
I like that a lot.
Yeah. And then this one.
And then this one where they Photoshop, just, let's cut everyone out and stick them together.
But look, again,
lots of characters.
This sells the movie. It's
hell of a and then okay, yeah, influenced a little bit by Star Wars. I mean, so they take the robot, which is the closest thing to Darth Vader, and stick him in the back, and yeah.
Is that Hasselhoff in the front? And then, oh my God!
Well, it's kind of hard to tell Hasselhoff from Gortner because of the hair.
Yeah, they both have that Chia Pet thing going on.
I'm sorry about your face there, Bill. All right. We covered all the work it's covering up. So here's Luigi Cozzi. He's the director.
Yeah.
Oh my God. He also did the Alien Contamination film and
Alien Contamination, Hercules, Sinbad, the two who's the actor? I'm drawing a blank here. Lou Ferrigno.
I didn't even know that the Sinbad movie existed, but I could not make it through Hercules.
If you like the stop motion animation in Starcrash, you're gonna love that stop motion animation in Hercules.
There's stop motion,
and I'll give the guy credit. He loves stop motion just as I do. The only difference is I know that I am not capable of producing any watchable stop motion animation, so I don't do that. Plus, I don't have 5 years of my life to devote to making a puppet. And they tried in this one, and woof.
Alien Contamination is a film I remember reading about, and of course, never got to see it. It's available now. Just about any movie's available now. Just about, and I can't make it through it. I don't think I've seen 15 minutes of it. It is.
I'll bet they claim they didn't that they didn't watch Alien before they made that movie, but that is also a lie.
That is also a lie. All right. I guess we should talk about Carolyn Monroe. That is the person we're here to see. And of course, we all agree she looks absolutely fine. Even swimming in a spacesuit out in space, because she literally goes, "I'm swimming." So funny.
She's a beautiful woman. I mean, just a beautiful woman, and she's still very attractive. She does the convention circuits. Is very appreciative of the fans and everything. I mean, she had a great look, and she wasn't in a whole lot of stuff, but definitely lit up the screen. Now, again, is she good in this movie? No one's good in this movie except for Christopher Plummer. Oh, but look at this, man! Look at that. Sinbad, Golden Voyage of Sinbad. I fell in love with her right then and there. Captain Kronos, Dracula AD 72, and there's Maniac, which for my money is a more science fiction premise than Starcrash. Carolyn Monroe thinks Joe Spinell is attractive. Yeah, okay. Sure.
Well, a fantasy anyway.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, high fantasy. It is a good movie though, at least.
Oh, it's a great movie. And listen, folks, guys out there, try to find a girl who will look at you the way Carolyn Monroe is looking at Joe Spinell right then and there. That, my friends, is acting.
I really would have liked to have heard her voice on this because it's hard to.
Yeah.
I mean, you could sort of, if I'm not looking at it and I hear Candy Clark's voice, I could sort of tell where she's coming from, but it just doesn't fit. It's not, what it felt like? It felt like this should have been a Saturday.
Hey.
Oh.
I wasn't going to say anything about
Oh
Cat.
my goodness. Oh my goodness. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a
Cat fight going on, not the good kind.
It felt to me like a Saturday morning serial, like it should have been like some kids show. It was
right
that caliber, you know.
It did feel. It didn't feel very like a very mature story.
Yeah, Jason of Star Command, maybe.
There you go. And of
Except
course,
that had better stop motion.
You mentioned it earlier. The voice is Candy Clark from American Graffiti. Probably most people remember her from that. But horror fans, what?
And the Blob.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say horror fans remember her from the '88 Blob.
Mm-hmm.
How did she? Is she the one that dies in the telephone booth? Right. Yeah, I had to remember. Like we had phone booths. Okay. Yes.
She was so sweet in that movie, and she died so horribly. Yeah.
Oh, but it was one of the. It's a great scene.
It is a great death.
All right, Christopher Plummer. There's probably a good amount of money in this costume. Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
Because there's yet another.
I think there was a good amount of money in him. I think they paid him $10,000 a day. Now, again, this is 1978 money, $10,000.
And they flew him out there, so he had.
And they flew him to Rome, so he gets to go to his favorite city. They put a considerable amount of American cash dollars in his hand. He gets to say his dopey lines, but you know he acquits himself. Nobody's is going to look at this and say we're never hiring this guy again. I mean, they understood back in those days, actors would go to Europe, make these trashy films, and I think they believed that it probably would not even get here. So no one would be the wiser for it. A lot of them just stayed in Europe, and that was okay. They certainly never dreamed of video and DVDs. So.
No, I've read quite a few people say that in the interviews that they did these films thinking nobody would ever see them. They'd go and the people forget about them, not knowing that they would find life 30, 40, 50 years later. So it is kind of
the irony is that and some of them embraced it and some of them didn't like it, is that a lot of times these were the films that actually kept their memory alive in pop culture. I remember reading some interviews with John Carradine, and the poor guy, he's just so not happy about the fact he's being interviewed, and they're asking him about Billy the Kid versus Dracula, and he's like, why don't you ask me about Grapes of Wrath? It's like, because no one's watching that. Okay, they're actually watching some of these terrible movies that you did. Oh well.
Well, you can't bark at having Christopher Plummer in your film.
Yeah.
I was trying to think, where would horror fans, Dolores Claiborne, Wolf.
He was in one of the Star Trek movies. He was great in one of the Star Trek movies.
Yep.
Was it Star Trek 5, 4, 4?
6, Undiscovered Country.
Oh, okay. That was one of the last really, really good ones.
Yes.
And even there, I mean, now he can chew the scenery. In Star Trek 6, he is eating it, and he's with Bill Shatner. So I mean, if you're stealing scenes from Bill Shatner, you're like, whoa. But here he so underplays it, correctly assuming, I think, that there's no way he's going to be able to top Spinell and everything. So he pulled back. He gives the character a certain level of gravitas, and that works. It was, this man was a smart actor. He was a good actor. And although this is not an important film, I admire the fact that he does a good job of it.
Yeah, I would imagine that horror fans are out there screaming at us right now because Dreamscape, 1980s film.
Right. Which we've done.
Which we just did in the last 6 months or so.
Yeah, how soon we forget.
Well, it was a repeat. In fact, it was. You guys did it once.
And of course, we have the one and only Joe.
Oh boy.
Who is
having fun?
If you're not watching this for Carolyn Monroe, this is the reason why you watch it. The curly side curl hairdo alone, and the little goatee, and you see his face with his eyes and his mouth. That's his expression. the entire movie.
Oh yeah,
And
I swear he doesn't blink.
he might not.
That's what makes him look so creepy.
He's evil. He is definitely evil. He's relishing his evil. He's twirling his goatee and his little side twirls there. It's like,
Oh my god, I gotta sneeze.
he flounces around. He swirls his cape. I mean, this is
he does.
Who loves being a villain.
Oh my god, he has the best entrance into an elevator ever in the history of villainy. Yeah, it's amazing. It is played over the top. It's played like you're talking about. They're played like those old serials. They probably heard, and this is conjecture, but they probably heard that that the Star Wars movie was influenced by serials, and they went, "Oh, we know serials," and I think that it kind of created this as well, because it does have that serial feel. It's just a different set of serials.
I mean, this is one of those characters you fully expect at some point he's literally going to say moo hoo 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 wah.
I was waiting for him to really, and I think he may have actually. I'm not sure he didn't do that.
Tie Carolyn Monroe to the railroad track or something.
Yeah, yes, absolutely. And of course, the one and only David Hasselhoff.
The Hoff.
The Hoff.
Who, of course,
So now
there are those who insist that David Hasselhoff is the one and only Nick Fury. There aren't many of those people, and they're all crazy and insane and taking a lot of drugs. But there are those people who say that. So.
I'm glad he didn't make it into.
So this was
Doctor Strange movie. Go ahead.
This was his second. This was his second film.
Wow.
And the film that he was in before this was Revenge of the Cheerleaders, where he played a character named Boner.
Boner.
So
nowhere to go but up from there.
This is probably a step up. Yeah.
Nowhere to go.
He gets to be Christopher Plummer's son.
Yeah. Now, one of the characters that we're not showing here. Well, we might have them in the effects. Let's see. No, we don't. We'll get back to those pictures. But it's Elle, the robot.
Yeah.
And it's played by Judd Hamilton, who, if I understand correctly, was married to Carolyn Monroe at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Is it Caroline? It's Caroline or Carolyn?
Carolyn is. I don't know.
Okay. But of course, he didn't do the voice. Somebody else did the voice, and it sounds like
too.
This weird cartoon Western guy.
Yeah, Ricochet Rabbit.
Right.
Sounds like somebody out of yeah.
That was
I just
the Hazards or something.
That's supposed to appeal to. Is that like the Americans will love it if he sounds like no cowboy ever, like a cliche of a cowboy, like a comedian pretending to do a cowboy routine would sound like this. But there aren't that many Westerns that people actually talk like that. It's so strange.
They got it from cartoons. I'm telling you, they somewhere along the line they said we got to target this to kids, and that's why they made the hey, in the rest of the movie you got to tone back the costume a bit.
We were talking about that before we started. It's like that. So one of the bits of trivia is that they insisted that Carolyn Monroe wear less skimpy outfits in the second half of the movie as opposed to the first half, where she's running around in a space bikini, because they were afraid it couldn't get on TV. And I'm just thinking, okay, I don't know if that's true, but if it is true, you got the first half of the movie where she is running around in a bikini. So what was their plan here? To just show the second half twice?
So Bill, was that before or after she utters the immortal line, "Look, Amazon's on horseback. I hope they're friendly."
Yeah. If I see a group of women heading toward me, or whatever it is, like I just say, "Oh, they must be Amazons." There's no other reason why there'd be women without men. So, Amazons,
skimpily clad women.
Yeah.
At that.
I gotta say this before I forget. So, I think it was Marjoe Gortner. When they went out on that planet, he's telling them, "You must be extremely careful when the sun sets. The temperature drops thousands of degrees in an instant, and everything freezes over." And help me out here, Mr. Science, but absolute zero is not. It's not thousands of degrees.
Well, we're assuming that they're using the metric system, or maybe they've got their own system. Maybe they, maybe
it's the metric system.
Micro might have been.
On the other hand, they know what the word Amazon means, so it doesn't take place on Earth. And I don't know. I guess you can overanalyze these things. Thank God he also has his, the power. This guy was like Courageous Cat and Minute Mouse, where he could just pull something out of his shorts and oh no, Stella got frozen. Luckily, I've got the power of healing hands, and oh no, we need this, but I can do that too.
All right, these cool little lights I could play with.
I know, it was so strange.
Yeah,
and I can see the future.
Apparently, he was supposed to be much more alien than he is in the movie, which is not at all. And he just refused to put on any makeup because I guess if you're Marjoe Gortner, you've got serious stroke in Europe. I don't know.
Well, you tell me though. I'm sure you're going to disagree because this is a real stretch. But Cozzi was a friend of Mario Bava's, right? And I thought
think so, yeah.
I could see some echoes of like if somebody who didn't know what they were doing was trying to copy some of the designs from Planet of the Vampires and then lit everything all wrong. And
well, yeah. I mean, there's some there. I like the use of color. I've always liked the colorful, gaudy quality of some of the Italian stuff. It's just that Bava and Argento had a certain talent behind it, and others would try to imitate that, but all they really did is what I do, which is just put some blue filters on one light and red filters on another light and have them hit each other in the middle. Turns purple. But that's certainly in keeping with the whole comic book aesthetic of this movie. We didn't go over the taglines, but one of them was talking about it's like a combination of Star Wars and Barbarella. No and no. But
I can see it, actually. I can see it. I was going to say
I can see that being the pitch the elevator pitch that they used to try to sell it. But and again, $4 million is a lot of money. $4 million sounds like more money than Mario Bava ever had. I can only imagine what it would look like if they put him in charge of making this look good.
Well, I'm sure you're disappointed, Bill, that a dinosaur sequence was filmed but was scrapped, was put on the cutting room.
I would be, but looking at the horrible quality of the stop motion animation in the robots. And the robots, I mean, basically, they just said, oh, man, I mean, it's not easy to do stop motion animation. You have to build an armature, and then you build something around that, the skin and everything else. But with these robots, they just said, oh, screw it. Let's just stick with the armature.
Yes.
We don't have to do anything else. And yet still, that one that's supposed to be like Talos from Jason and the Argonauts, watching that thing walking is like, did the person who animated this, have they ever seen someone walk? Because this
the one that had the big metal boobs on the front, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, this one here.
I mean, boy, they're doing they're basically doing Ray Harryhausen's Dinorama, where you split the screen and make it look like the characters are in front of the little model. But the bad focus, the fact that the models are sharp and the background plate is so grainy and blurry, it's not as easy as it looks.
Right.
And then here's some more. The variety of special effects and color.
Yeah, listen, I love the color. Look at these. I mean, that's kind of cool. It's ripping off invaders from Mars, but and the hand ship, that's kind of cool.
That looks a lot like even the original invaders from Mars.
Yeah, that bottom frame could be right out of any sci-fi comic book you've ever seen. I mean, it's got a colorful, candy coated quality to it.
Well, one thing
dialogue.
One thing I noticed while I was watching this or listening to it is that the music is so not appropriate for this movie. It's like from another film. So we got to talk about the guy who composed it, John Barry.
Yeah. I know.
Who, even in the 70s had done King Kong, The White Buffalo, The Deep,
Midnight Cowboy.
Midnight Cowboy. He did. I don't know.
He did. He's won 5 Oscars.
Yes,
he won 5 Oscars.
Like, he did Black Hole, Somewhere in Time. All kinds. I mean, I could go on and on. Yeah.
Dances with Wolves, Out of Africa, Lion in Winter, Born Free. Like,
Supposedly he used some of the themes from this movie in Out of Africa.
And the reason why is because he thought nobody would ever see this movie.
well, here's the other thing. One of the people who didn't see this movie was him. They wouldn't show him the movie.
They were afraid he would not do it.
They were afraid he would quit. Exactly. So they just said, write a 5-minute battle sequence, or a fight sequence or something, and he did it. I imagine if, because look, writing music to me is just such an amazing talent. There's only you could do a lot of things. There's a lot of words you can put together, but boy, there's only certain notes that go together and sound good. So it's a miracle to me that anyone has more than one song or one composition in them. Can you imagine if you just everything hits right, you come up with the perfect da 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 da, and it turns out it's in Starcrash. You realize this is it. This is the one they're going to remember me by, and it's in a movie that's just terrible. So, do you hold back?
In 1986, he did Howard the Duck, The Golden Child, and Peggy Sue Got Married. Which one wins? It's not a difficult choice.
But those are 3 very different movies.
They are.
And to be able to score, to be able to be good at that range of topics and tone and everything. This guy had mad skills.
I think I saw each one of those in the theater, so shamefully. Apparently,
they wanted Morricone to do this, but maybe they made the mistake of showing him the film, and he backed out. And Morricone has his name on some real garbage too, so I don't know, but I guess he said this was a bridge too far.
Okay. All right, a bridge too far. I love it.
I saw that too, and I thought when I was listening to it, the music sounded. I don't know what it was. The music didn't match what we were looking at. Not that it was bad music. It just didn't have the feel.
He wrote it without seeing the movie.
Yeah, that's not optimal.
Dances with Wolves. God.
Yeah.
He's definitely a talented guy. He's definitely a very respected, talented guy. But this movie,
the music, some years you squeeze in one too many movies, I guess.
Yeah. The music, while it doesn't fit the movie, is actually quite good.
Right.
Out of context, right?
Yeah.
Right. In the movie, it just feels like, why did they choose?
I loved it. Actually, some of the sort of danger themes sounded really good. But danger didn't look very dangerous, so.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh! All right. Well,
I loved the fight scene with Carolyn Monroe where there was that one shot where she leaps into the air and twirls around, and their timing was totally off. So anyway, it was.
There's a lot of goofiness coming out of this movie when it fights and against the troglodytes, which was ridiculous. They were ridiculous. Their makeup was ridiculous. Their acting was ridiculous. The fighting was ridiculous. The light sword was ridiculous. Oh my gosh.
There was a couple throwbacks to old science fiction, like The Name of the Ship. Murray Leinster as a science fiction writer. And then, at the very beginning when they're on the ship, you hear the paging Major Bradbury. Which I'm sure is a callback to Ray Bradbury, but other than that, not much science went into the.
No science, no.
A lot of fiction, right. Not much science.
Let's go ahead and save our audience, and let's wrap this one up because we have a lot of feedback. So let's trade battering this film any further for getting through the feedback. What do you say?
Did we show the picture of Marjoe Gortner?
Did we skip over Marjoe?
I think you skipped Marjoe.
I don't have Marjoe Gortner.
Oh, it must not have loaded. Oh, well, too bad. It will
take me just a second because I've got to.
Because he is an interesting guy. He started out as a child evangelist. Scary.
Yes, he is.
His parents, he made a fortune, and then his dad ran off with the money, and that kind of soured him on the whole thing. And then he did I don't know if it's admirable or what, but he went back as an adult to become a televangelist, but he brought a crew to film him and openly talking about what a farce it was. So this was his last tour because he knew once the documentary came out that was it for this money train, and decided to go into acting. Made a few films. I mean, I think maybe the transition was not as easy as he thought it would be, because you're really going for the cheap seats when you're doing the fire and brimstone stuff, and you need to pull that back a little. But he wasn't interesting. It's an interesting story. If you ever get to see the documentary Marjoe, which is about him as a child, it's terrifying.
Yeah. Now, wasn't he? I mean, he was relatively famous in circles as a child because it was televised, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Right.
But it's creepy. That's him up at the top there, just this little, still had that curly hair, little redheaded kid, just talking about people going to hell and everything, and it was so exploitive. The stories you hear about it and everything. But I love that center shot. That middle shot just cracks me up.
It looks like he's getting ready to go. It looks like he's getting ready to go. All right.
I don't know if he's scared or happy or. But yeah,
well, you gotta, you can't hold it against him what he did as a child, and he did pull away from it when he
right
grew up. So, we talked earlier. He was in Food of the Gods, right?
Food of the Gods and Earthquake, which I remember fondly.
Yeah, that's right.
And Mausoleum, which I do not remember fondly, but I do remember.
And seems to have just retired and still alive, but I haven't really seen much from him or anything. He did one kind of notable film, When You Come Into the 5 and 10, Jimmy Dean or something. Yeah. That got some notice. Notice as a good acting role. But
was he in that?
Yeah, I think he was the lead. And Bobby Joe and the Outlaw, and that's really only known because Wonder Woman takes her top off. So.
Wonder Woman. All right, let's go ahead. Let's get this out of here, guys. Bill, sir, wrap up your recommendation. And do you have a scene that you want to like spotlight as extra special? I know that's
gosh, it's so dopey. It's just so dopey. There's no reason why anything happens. I guess my favorite scene is where Stella Star, which is the name of one of my favorite indie bands. I guess they got it from this.
Oh, wow. Okay.
She gets sentenced to, lifetime in the prison planet of what the hell ever, where they just basically take giant soccer balls and drop them into tubes. And for some reason, and my wife pointed this out, it was pretty obvious, she's wearing this very revealing black bikini, space bikini and everything. And everyone else, including all the other women, are dressed up in burqas. I mean, they're just head to toe. They are completely dressed up. She's like, why is she walking around looking like that? And all the others are, wrapped up. And I'm just like, look at her.
Look at her. Look at her.
No reason necessary. So, yeah, I guess that's my favorite scene from so many to choose from. Oh,
so many. There are a lot of scenes in this. Jeff, sir, wrap up your thoughts here.
It's, you can watch it and you can have fun with it, but don't look for anything good, I guess. I mean, except, Carolyn Monroe, watch Joe Spinell and Christopher Plummer kind of chew things up. And I think, unless I had to look this up, because I think you were talking about Bill, When You Coming Back, Red Ryder.
Yeah, that's it.
Because the 5 and 9 Jimmy Dean, that was
Jimmy Dean. That was something completely unrelated. Ignore me. I babble.
I couldn't think of Mark Patton when we were talking about it. So, so favorite scene, it's got to be when Carolyn Monroe is swimming through space. The spacesuit, complete with smudges all over the plastic helmet.
Also, FYI, if you ever find yourself in space, doing this does absolutely nothing. You'll just be doing that for eternity, getting nowhere.
Awesome. You probably fart and get further along.
Yes.
Action, reaction,
Yep. Yeah. All right. For me, okay, if you're a connoisseur of bad films, this is probably on your list. You probably have already seen it. And you're wondering why we're not. You guys don't understand why this movie's. This is so bad, but it is. I don't know. It's so 70s. It is so campy. I have to imagine there is a cult following for this. There's got to be people that love this movie. Matter of fact, I think somebody, isn't it? So look in our notes. I think somebody says it's their favorite film. I don't know. I don't know why, but there you go. As ridiculous as I thought this movie is, as strange and odd and nonsensical, I literally could not stop watching it. I was like, what is happening? What is going on? And it certainly, for all its faults, I will admit it kept my attention. I didn't fall. Jeff was like, I didn't fall asleep and miss the lightsaber scene. And I fall. You know, I've had to watch a movie again because I fall asleep. So I didn't. And having the cast show up the way they do is fun. I don't know. I would imagine there's a good portion of our audience that are going to enjoy this film, regardless of regardless of the quality, right? The quality is not a factor in enjoying this film. It's the lack thereof. That's the reason why I enjoy it. What could be my favorite scene? I don't know. The scene I laughed. I don't know why. It's the one that's coming to thinking about. There's a lot that I could think of. At the end, they're blowing up the ship, and I think at this point, Bill, we actually get the ha 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 laugh from Joe Spinell as everything is blowing up around him, and he just sits there. And if not that, it's the wonderful spin, cape in the air, back to the elevator he goes.
Right.
And do you notice that both sides, because both sides go in and out of this stupid elevator, they both come in and out of this elevator the same way. The guys come out one at a time, or two at a time, right? The guards. And then one lead guy comes in. The first time it's Joe Spinell, and the second time it's Christopher Plummer. And then the lead guy goes back out, and then 2 by 2 they go back into the elevator and turn around. It's the stupidest thing.
How to make a cast of 5 look like a cast of 10, maybe.
Absolutely. Goober. All right, well, there you go. Starcrash. Where did we watch this, Bill Mulligan? I watched it on Tubi.
I'll admit, I think I watched it on Netflix, Mystery Science Theater 3000.
Did you? Oh, that's even better.
I needed a little help to get through.
Well, you booger. But yeah, it's out there. Check it out and leave us some comments down below. I'm sure you have something to say about Starcrash. All right, we've got to get to this because I see some really cool stuff here. Jeff, we have some comments, right? Some feedback.
We got a bunch. Well, first off, we have Mikey Z's got some suggestions for us in the future. First one up is Killdozer, 1974. And he seems to think Doc should pick that because Doc likes the car, I guess. Vehicle horror. I was going to pick that at one point, but it's really bad. It's It's
out there? Because I don't know where it is.
I don't know if it's available. I have the Blu-ray.
Oh my God.
Well, it's based on a Theodore Sturgeon story. That's my
loosely
excuse. So, Count Dracula, the Jess Franco film with Christopher Lee, could be your first Franco.
It's one of the easier Francos to deal with. If
we need a first Franco,
there's some
Rocky
you don't
Horror
want to
Picture Show.
Okay.
Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Absolutely.
Who Could Kill a Child? I've been wanting to do that for ages, but it's not out there.
Island.
You cannot find it streaming. Once again, I have the Blu-ray. It's a great movie. And Trog.
I want to do
want to do
Trog.
Trog forever, but it's never playing.
As soon as that one is available, we're doing it.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, these are
like
these
flies
are
on dumb.
pretty much. I know Who Could Kill a Child and Killdozer are ones we've talked about, or I've talked about doing Killdozer, but when I looked it up, I couldn't find it. Now I should look again because things change.
Every time it's my turn to choose, I look to see if Trog is playing anywhere, and the answer is always no.
Yeah, it's. I want to do that one so bad. It's another so bad it's good movie.
It's got Ray Harryhausen animation in it, stolen from another movie, but that's okay.
I was going to say it's not original.
No.
But I've got some great stories about that movie. I can't wait to talk about it.
All right.
Oh, okay.
One day.
Well, that'd be a good reason to do it. Well, let's see. Killdozer is currently on Plex. But anyway.
Ah.
All right. Next up, we have episode 166, The Island of Dr. Moreau. Lone Wolf. Hello, Grue Crew. Another good episode here. I feel like this version of The Island of Dr. Moreau is one of those films where I have to say it's my favorite by default because I haven't seen the older adaptation. Don't worry, I'll fix that problem sooner or later. I think and you need to do that. Yes, you absolutely do. Although somebody commented on our Classic Era episode on Island of Lost Souls and said they couldn't find the movie and it's not streaming on any of the services right now.
That's too bad.
I think Criterion has a Blu-ray if it's still available, but not everybody wants to.
Yeah, some of this may change as we get into October, right? So,
yeah. All right. I think the acting was fine in some areas. Michael York trying to regain his humanity after the transformation was easily my favorite part. As a fan of werewolves, I always find it interesting to see another struggle with the duality of man and beast. Barbara Carrera was fine, but as you guys mentioned, she wasn't given much to work with. Everyone remembers her as a Bond girl, but I remember her from the movie Lone Wolf McQuade, a film Chuck Norris named after me in my honor.
Nice.
Way to go. Burt Lancaster didn't seem too menacing as the Doctor, and that disappointed me for sure. As for the makeup effects, well, let's just say I might as well be watching Island of the Planet of the Apes or something like that.
Absolutely.
Well, overall, it's a decent film with a few big issues. Speaking of adaptations, it would be interesting to see you guys eventually do a review of 1979's Nightwing, which features the late, great David Warner. I heard the book isn't anything special, but I bet it's at least a step above the film.
We need to do Nightwing. We need to do Nightwing.
Yeah, I'd do that. And actually, the book's not terrible. The guy, Martin Cruz Smith, the guy that wrote Gorky Park, which was a big bestseller, Russian thriller, wrote it. Anyway,
I remember going to. I went to the theaters and saw Nightwing.
Oh wow!
I think I did too because I had read Gorky Park.
This is about bats, right?
It's definitely about bats. Yes.
Yeah, I see. I keep getting there's the Bat People, Chosen Survivors, and Nightwing, and I tend to get these all mixed up in my head. So I don't know which one I've seen.
I don't know why. There's a whole bunch of bat movies from the 30s through the 50s that I get all mixed up.
Oh yeah.
I have to see who's in them, and
because half of them are called the Bat.
Yeah. Whispers. Yeah. I have to look them up, see who's in them before I know which one it is. All right. Okay. Episode 158, Blood for Dracula from Mikey Z. Udo Kier rhymes with weird.
It does.
Yes, it does. What else from a 1970s Warhol Morrissey collaboration did you expect? Lame hero, not really a hero, more pedophilic than noble intentions, is the father, the renowned Italian director Vittorio De Sica? Yes. Yep. I don't remember if we talked about that, but I don't think I realized that. And as I was reading, after I read this and looked it up, yes, very well known and very awarded. A couple of foreign language film Oscars and a couple of sort of special Oscars before they had foreign language films. All right. If so, DeSica and Polanski in the same film. Talk about 70s Euro heavyweight directors. Where was Bava Herzog? Dare I suggest Bergman?
Oh my word! No, they were on the cutting room floor. They were all on the cutting room floor.
Yeah, the director cameo film. That's a film I would see. 70s Grue Crew, another fantastic job. If you excuse me, I have a dinner of lettuce, tea, and virgin blood-soaked bread ahead of me. Oh dear, I cut my finger. No bother. It's only a flesh wound. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink.
It's only a flesh wound.
Some Monty Python reference in there as well.
Yeah,
what are you gonna do?
70s about And now, here's one from the vault. Also, Mikey's Shockwaves, episode 16.
Oh yeah,
16. Wow.
1977. I saw this in 1977 when it was playing on a double bill with another Cushing film of the era. No, not that one, but At the Earth's Core in one of those lovely 42nd Street theaters that you could see a double bill for about 75 cents a ticket.
Wow.
I'll bet that Santos Selin Jr. frequented that theater.
He's probably a couple rows down or back.
Don't ever go to the bathroom. Don't ever go to the bathroom.
While the film makes no sense, nor does it really scare, it does have Mr. Cushing, not at his maffiest.
Yes.
M-O-F-F-Y?
Moff Tarkin.
Yeah. Moff Tarkin.
Oh, yeah, here. And John Carradine in a blink, and you'll miss his character. For me, Brooke Adams is the only reason to see this plodding, swamp-laden drudgery.
Ooh, don't hold back here.
Yeah, nice to go back and hear this early DOH 70s entry with Doc, Paul Cardullo, Bill Mulligan, and of course Santos as they analyze and dissect this low-budget holdover from the 50s Nazi on a desert island conducting experiments trope.
That old chestnut.
How many times do you need to see those waterlogged Teutonic submariners emerge from the water? If you're an overweight tourist in a suspense horror film, get back on the plane and go right home. Oh, and leave your luggage behind. Why the F are you lugging that damn thing around?
Right.
Another example of the podcast being a ton better than the film being discussed.
Oh my gosh. Bill, do you remember we saw that film
yeah, we did.
At the Carolina Theater with Paul. And do you remember the film that played with it?
No, I don't. What was it?
Dawn of the Dead.
Oh wow. Yeah, interesting.
Talk about.
I'll say right now, somewhere in Virginia, Jerry Chandler is furiously pounding on the keyboard with a reply. He loves that movie.
Shockwaves, yeah. So again, this is we have a bunch of Mikey Z's here, so we're kind of catching up. Terror of Mechagodzilla 165 from Mikey Z. Pacing. It was common in the 70s Godzilla films to have Godzilla not show until later in the film. In the 60s, they knew how to properly reveal Godzilla, even if he didn't show in the first 5 minutes. Think about King Kong versus Godzilla, Godzilla versus the Thing, Ghidorah, the three-headed monster, or Monster Zero. In each of those films, the supporting stories built up expectations. 70s films lacked that adherence to a good supporting story and would introduce plot points that seemed random and really did not positively impact the overall narrative, making the film seem longer. I think progressively playing to a young crowd and filling the screen with images, and then the campiness rises to the surface. Yes. That being said, The Terror of Mechagodzilla is a fun last film of the Showa era that tried to maintain some of the seriousness of earlier films by involving human drama and frailties within the narrative. Think of Dr. Mifune's recollection of his dead wife, the fact that his daughter dies not once but twice and is resurrected, and finally Katsura's sacrifice to save mankind, even though she isn't fully human. That's my spiel. Great podcast, Grue Crew. Can't wait to hear what Jerry Chandler has to say. And
to open you're gonna be sorry for that.
The kaiju size
and to open a kaiju-sized can of worms. When are you going to do Godzilla versus Megalon?
Oh God.
We don't need any help. At least he didn't bring up the Loch Ness horror.
But you just did. But you just did.
But I just did. Oh,
Another letter.
Last but not least, we're cleaning up our Mikey Z backlog on episode 167, A Reflection of Fear. Doc saw the reflection of fear for the first time, and I will say, whoa, some of the themes in this, whether overt or implied, would not pass even today.
Probably not. Probably not.
Great cast. Robert Shaw in a subdued performance. The recently departed Sally Kellerman, who in one scene titillates while wearing clothing. Sandra Locke playing a physically, emotionally troubled mid-teen while in her late 20s, pulls it off. I would question whether she...
I don't know. Come on.
Anyway, that's just a great performance on her part. Real wife at the time of Robert Shaw, Mary Ure, gives an underrated performance as the exasperated mother and soon-to-be ex-wife of the Robert Shaw character. It's pretty obvious. It's pretty obvious from the onset who Aaron really was, but the final phone call recollection is an interesting, if out of nowhere, twist. As Doc stated in the prior DOH episode, this could have been a TV movie with the exception of some of the subject matter. Great pick, Doc. A film that was under my radar, even being a Robert Shaw fan, going all the way back to that 007 film, From Russia with Love.
Yes.
Great.
Not a great movie, but not as bad as, say, Planet of Dinosaurs.
Bill! Bill!
How's it rate with this one, Mike? Let's see. Great podcast insights by the Grue Crew. My final word out of left field, like the last phone call in this film, The Swarm.
The Swarm. Chad wants us to do that one pretty bad.
How dare you besmirch Planet of the Dinosaurs while recommending The Swarm?
The Swarm. Why do you say it like Swarm? The Shawarma. All right. Well, thank you. Thank you so much, Jeff, for that. That was wonderful. Love our feedback. Love our listeners. Thank you all so very, very much.
Yes. I appreciate it, Mikey. And let's throw a challenge out to some of the other listeners. Let's get your ideas in and your suggestions.
Yes, we have a few out there. We need to get together and talk about those. All right, we know what we're doing on our next episode, do we not?
We do. And this one's chosen by Chad, who unfortunately couldn't be here tonight. But his pick is Empire of the Ants.
By Mr.
1977. And I think that's
big.
That's 2 H.G. Wells based movies in a row for him, I think. How long ago? What did he do? Did he do something between this and Island of Dr. Moreau?
I don't know.
We don't know.
But Empire of the Ants. This is a let's show it at midday during the week on TV classic. I remember seeing them. No, I think I saw this on TV more than I saw it like on VHS. But it'll be great to hit this one up again.
Yeah, he's on H.G. Wells' roll. His last one was The Island of Dr. Moreau. So,
all right. So
this is from a story.
Yep. So what is it that we need to do? We need to like put our minds together and materialize that Trog will be on streaming soon. Right.
Start writing letters.
There you go. No, just make it happen. Bink. No?
Or
what, Jeff?
Yeah,
what?
I mean, it is streaming, but it's pay-per-view all the way around.
I'm not paying for that piece of shit.
Wow.
I want to see it, but I ain't paying for it.
I mean, it depends. Is it 99 cents or $19.99?
$3.
$3. I would go see it if they played it at the Carolina Theater. I would go see it.
Oh, so you'd pay $10 to go see it.
I'd pay $10,
but you don't want to pay $3 to see it on your big screen TV.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I get that.
Yes.
Because at least in a theater, there's
well,
other
it is
people to share the
available
pain.
on Blu-ray for $23.
Oh yeah, I need a Blu-ray to catch all the nuances in Trog.
Not even inflation explains that.
Yeah.
Woof, woof. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that
directed by Freddie Francis from Shout Factory or Scream Factory, I guess I'd rather
You
say.
make a compelling
Shout
case.
Factory.
this film. All right, well, there you go. Another show wrapped up. We did Starcrash. We can write that one off. We'd never have to think or talk about that movie again.
No.
except for now we're going to get tons of feedback. Now we're going to get tons of feedback every week.
Right.
Oh my gosh. But
We may have completed all the films we would possibly do by Marjoe Gortner as well.
Yeah.
I have a feeling something will sneak in from somewhere. Like I didn't know he was in that. Gosh, but leave your comments down below. You've got to have something to say about Starcrash, or make recommendations. We'd love to hear recommendations.
Sure.
Especially for those films that we just at one time we think about and then we forget or we don't know about at all. Yeah,
as long as they're not Frankenstein Island or The Swarm.
The Swarm.
The Swarm. And if you sign up to be a Patreon patron, you will get Decades of Horror episodes at least a week in advance.
Yes. I'll get early drops.
Be special.
All right, Jeff, Bill, thank you so much for joining me. This was, as always, a lot of fun.
Thanks for having us.
Yep. I missed Mr. Hunt, Chad.
Yeah, if he's feeling better soon.
He'll be back.
Yes, he caught the bug. He didn't get COVID, but he caught the flu. We won't get into that. That's a whole other discussion. Let's get out of here. Guys, thank you and good night.
Good night, everybody.